Hey everyone, it's Ivan, kitbadger.com, out here with my course loadout from the 3-day Pistol 2 class down at Thunder Ranch. Down there at that 3-day Pistol 2 class, didn't need a ton of gear because it was just pistol, but this is pretty much all the stuff I used over those 3 days down there at Thunder Ranch. I will say, took place kind of beginning midsummer, not cold. Definitely hot. So we'll start ground up. These right here are my limbs. These are the new to limbs and to me actually. These are the Primal 3s, the newest iteration of the Primals. They did a great job. Lightweight, super breathable. There's mesh. Haven't finished my review on them, but yeah, they did a good job for me over the course of those days. There was no point where I needed more shoe or traction. Largely you're on pretty much gravel and concrete, and yeah, did good across the board. As far as socks and stuff like that, some sort of merino, probably some 0.6 or something like that. And then pants. I ended up wearing these basically all 3 days. These are probably my favorite pants from Prometheus Design Works. They are the Raider pants, or at least the cut. And the pockets really work well for me, so I like wearing them. I will say, man, these are my favorite ones. I got them, I want to say, back in 2019. Still wearing them. I think I patched a hole, or a friend patched a hole for me at one point. They haven't made them again in this fabric. They make other fabrics and stuff. But what is actually really important about these is during this class, I didn't want to carry unnecessary stuff, but definitely needed to carry magazines. Had 3 of these guys, more on these later. These are factory 21 round magazines. But something I actually really like about these pants is internal organization with respect to pockets. And so usually over on this left side, there's a little organizer pocket. Usually carry like chapstick and a lighter. For this entire class, I'll show it to you right here actually. So mesh inside here, and you can probably see there's this pocket in a pocket for organizing. What was really nice is basically keeping a reload there. So imagine this is sitting inside the other pocket, and it basically keeps it right there, indexed correctly. So reach down in the pocket, pull out the reload, really nice and easy. And I didn't have to have some other piece of gear just for the sake of carrying magazines. So really like those. As I mentioned, it was hot. First day wasn't brutal. Second day was pretty brutal. So I actually broke this guy out. This is the Prometheus Design Works. I want to say they're Helios. Pretty sure it's Helios. It's a sun shirt, has a hood. Probably put the hood on maybe once or twice, but largely just had this guy on, just keeping sun off of me. So I also didn't have to put a ton of sunscreen on. And then, of course, I'm pretty sure it was this hat. Basically, again, just keeping sun off my face. And that is kind of the clothes. We'll get into some other gear. As far as personal protective gear, protect the eyes, protect the ears. I wear prescription lenses, so I ended up wearing these right here. These are my Smith Director Elite with some prescription ballistic lenses. And then ear pro is important. Don't need more tinnitus. It is permanent and cumulative hearing damage. So I wore these guys right here. These are the OpsCore amps. They're awesome. They are amplified, and you basically turn them on just in whatever level, and you can hear all the range commands. As soon as something loud, like gunshot, they cut out. Awesome. And these gel cups are really comfortable. These will and do work shooting rifle. Sometimes I find I'll push the buttstock up, or the buttstock will basically break the seal a little bit. Honestly, it doesn't matter, especially if you use the NFMI, whatever it is, near field magnetic induction, NFMI, I think. Earplugs, doesn't matter at all, but basically, yeah, these sometimes, depending on how you shoulder your rifle, don't play super well. Obviously non-issue with a pistol, so wore these all 3 days rather than some sort of in-ear hearing protection. And as I mentioned, being amplified, really nice just because all the range commands, you hear them, and the instructors, if They're not talking into a microphone, can talk in a conversational tone, and yeah, we're great. Which brings me to my belt and my holster. So for my belt, again, pistol class, needed to carry a pistol. So I ended up using this right here. This is the Agonic Belt, I want to say. And it's pretty cool. Basically a bunch of, well, one, it's this elastic material, pretty stiff, and there's all these cells. The way the belt buckle works, it slips in there to whatever you need. It also comes long, so you basically cut it to size. But plenty rigid enough to hold gear. At the same time, moves with your body, so it's comfortable to wear all day, 3 days in a row, or daily, everyday carry, which is good. Right here is my holster. This right here is a in the waistband, strong side, like basically 3 o'clock. Uses DCC clip. This one right here is by Carrey Concealment, company local to me. And yeah, basically just a good solid retention holster, like not active retention, but plenty of retention. I can, if I wanted to, actually tighten it up. This was plenty tight for what I wanted. Basically think dynamic movement, be able to run, not have the thing come out, which kind of standard for pretty much any holster. But yeah, that did good. Before we get to the gun, I guess, other pieces of gear that I didn't even know I needed, but I needed, was a flashlight. In that class, we ended up working through some different light techniques as far as how to hold the weapon in conjunction with a white light, regardless of if you had a weapon mounted light or not. And I probably should have read the gear list, but I didn't. Fortunately, everyday carry, right? This right here, which is the Wedge, I think, by Streamlight, it's their newer version. Their first one honestly sucked. This one, haven't finished my review, but it's what the other one should have been, like, originally. And yeah, did a good job. Didn't use it a ton, but there were definitely some times, basically moving through the shoot house, where this came in handy. And yeah, activation worked well for what we were doing, and pleased with it. And lastly, for my pistol, I was shooting this right here, which is the P365 Fuse, new from Sig. Basically, it is a 365, but you have a flush 17-round mag, and then I had 3 of these guys, which are factory 21-round mags. Pretty awesome. And on here, I have the Romeo-X Micro Enclosed, I think it is. Basically, the smaller Romeo-X and enclosed emitter. And on here, factory, are these fiber optic sights. I mentioned that because I was out shooting before the class, ended up breaking, losing the fiber optic sight. I'm like, I should probably fix that. And then I didn't, showed up at class. And at the end of day 1, I actually loaned this to my buddy, one of the instructors there, Jack, and he did some shooting with it. And then he handed it back to me, and the optic wasn't coming. I'm like, did you do something to my dot? He's like, I didn't do anything to it. It wasn't on when I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was on. And I frankly have no idea what happened to it. But I was like, well, we got backup irons. So I ended up finishing that day shooting irons without that fiber optic front. And I will say, black sight, black rear on black steel, not the easiest to see, but made it work. And then also I want to say this was off a tiny bit. Jack actually confirmed that for me. So for the rest of the class, came out actually the next day, turned it on, I'm like, oh, battery's good. Don't know what happened. It might have actually got pressed all the way down to basically the lowest setting and like night vision setting. Just couldn't see it, and I don't know, bad on me for not mashing the thing all the way back to the top. But yeah, it seemed like it was dead. It was not. Finishing the rest of the class with it, did awesome. And actually that night, I also replaced the fiber optic front sight. Not that I ended up shooting much with it after that because the optic was working, but overall, definitely put a lot of rounds through this, and it was a good time. As far as ammo down there for that class, we were shooting frangible from Centerfire, and that's pretty much, you need to shoot frangible for a certain class at Thunder Ranch. This was one of them, and no hiccups whatsoever. outside of actually setting up malfunctions when we were working malfunctions. Thing just ran like a champ, and once I had this thing zeroed, did really, really good. Really pleased with it. Coming away from it, is there anything I would have changed with kind of this loadout for that 3-day class? No, absolutely not. Everything worked well, and it was also nice, both as a reminder and just for myself, to kind of just minimal loadout. Like, again, no fancy mag pouch, anything like that. Actually using the built-in pockets, doing all my reloads from these Raider pants by Prometheus Design Works, and yeah, it was a good time. It's a good time to get a lot of reps and definitely a lot of rounds through this pistol too. And I overall had a great time out there and definitely learned some good stuff. But if you're interested in checking any of this stuff out, there'll be links down below. And as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.